This is my audience. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you guys for coming. All right. Fairies, dragons, and ogres filled the mind and imagination of one man, from childhood all the way into his fantasy novels as an adult. That man was, of course, J.R.R Tolkien. Called Ronald as a child, and more famously known by his pen name, J.R.R Tolkien. Tolkien was not born in England as you might think. Though both of his parents were born and raised in England, he was actually born in South Africa. His father moved there in 1891, and his mother followed later in April of 1891, because his father was offered a better job with the Bank of Africa than the one that he currently held in England. In January of 1892, Tolkien was born. According to Anne E. Newmark, author of Mythmaker, The Life of Tolkien, Tolkien was bitten by a tarantula at the age of 4 years old. This became an extremely vivid memory to him, and I believe inspired his oversized arachnids that haunt the woods of Mirkwood and other lands in Middle-earth. Later, at age 4, Tolkien traveled with his mother, Mabel, and his brother Hilary, who was 1, to Southampton, England, to visit his mother's relatives. While they were on this holiday, his father contracted rheumatoid fever and died on February 15th, 1896, at the age of 39. They did not return for the funeral because all of the arrangements would have been taken care of before they could make the journey back across the ocean. Arthur Tolkien's wife, Mabel, vowed to never leave England again. With the help of her family's support and fundings, she found them a cottage in Sheerhole, England. Tolkien often referred to things haunting his life as dragons. When he was younger, the dragons were enjoyable, and as he got older and experienced the loss of his father, he said these dragons were not good. There was a white ogre, he called a man who ran a bone mill down from where they lived. He liked to sneak through the fence and watch them. He also would go to a local farm and steal mushrooms and other vegetables. This farmer would threaten the boys of the country with beatings. He referred to him as the Black Ogre. I believe that's where the inspiration for Farmer Maggot in Lord of the Rings came from. When Tolkien was 7, he attempted to attend King Edward's School, which is one of the most prestigious schools in England. He failed his entrance exam, though he could already speak 4 languages: Latin, French, German, and English, and he could read them. When Tolkien was 16, his mother, Mabel, died, leaving him and his brother, Hilary, orphans. Later, Father Francis, who was a friend of the family and a Catholic priest, moved them into a boarding house for orphans. This is where he met a girl named Edith, who was 3 years older than him. Edith inspired his first writings and poems, and once he turned 21, with the blessing of Father Francis, he married Edith. He served in World War I, where many of the hauntings that happened inspired things in his novels later in life, such as the trenches being filled with dead bodies and water. I believe this inspired the dead marshes in The Lord of the Rings. The Oxford professors ridiculed The Hobbit and other things that he wrote. The Hobbit was surprisingly written while Tolkien was grading papers. He found a blank piece and wrote, "In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit." This later became the entire work of The Hobbit. And after asking for a sequel, he wrote The Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings was rejected from the publisher with absolutely no notes for revision. Though Tolkien is most famously known for The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, he has written many other works and books, such as The History of Middle-earth, which is 10 books, including The Children of Hurin and many other works. Despite the ridicule of his Oxford peers, Tolkien often found inspiration from a world of loss and evil and darkness, and turned it into the beautiful world of Middle-earth. You'll find in his stories that it is always the ordinary people who become heroes. He believed most deeply that it was not great power that kept evil at bay, but great acts of love and kindness by ordinary people. Thank you.